Hi guys, it's Sachin Rupan, Fish Online, and welcome to part 2 of the prep for the upcoming Kzn trials.
The next question I want to ask you is how many reels to carry and spools?
Okay, you should have a set of reels for every set of rods, right? What's important is that you match the reels. It's simple. I mean, we need balanced equipment, and by balanced, I mean you need a smaller reel with a shorter rod. You know, a slightly bigger reel with a 10 foot, and obviously a large capacity reel, line capacity reel for a 12 foot, right? So that's important, right? So match the number of reels with the number of rods that you have, and spare spools are essential. The reason why we have spare spools, number one, is we mark different distances, and number two is we have spools with different line thicknesses on, right? So that's the reason why we have extra spools.
And obviously, to have those spools also, what is it? Clipped as well and nicely marked
at
as
different
well.
distances, yes.
Correct. Can you give us a little bit insight on what bait one should always carry when going to the dam? Any dam.
I think you know the most commonly used baits right now on the market, so something that you can just buy off the shelf, are floaties. Floaties come in a range of colors and flavors, and soft floats and bleeding floats and hard floats, and the list goes on, right? So floaty is definitely number one, right? A sweet white dough, number two. Thirdly, worms, I think, which is one of the most universal baits. Worms catch anything and everything, right? Even platties. So those would be the three baits that you should carry to any fishing venue.
Artificial baits, are you allowed to carry them? Yes, no?
Not in competitive angling or not in bank angling, right? So the type of angling that we do, it's called bank angling, and we are not allowed artificial baits.
Can you give us a few tips on what one can expect on the 2 days of angling?
That's a difficult one. But what I can say is, with Chemsford being full or close to full, the waters come up, which means there's reeds 20 to 30 meters in front of you. So that is something that you're going to need to overcome, right, when we are fishing. Secondly, it is weather. I think we've just come through in the process of a cold front coming through. So normally when there's a cold front, the fishing generally takes a little bit of a dip. So I would think that we're going to expect a little bit slower fishing this weekend, right? So be prepared for fishing in the water, fishing between grass, and a little bit of slower fishing. So I think that's something that we're gonna have to.
I think a good tip also is people's attire, wader, necessary.
I think for most fishing trips, it's be prepared for four seasons. I mean, personally, I think we fished in dams that have had brilliant sunshine and heavy rains and hailstones at some point. So always be prepared for all weather seasons whenever you go fishing.
I think another thing with shoes as well is something with good grip and
Definitely.
something that does not slip off your ankle. So I think that's also very, very important, so that you do not fall or have hassles with your shoes.
Okay, yeah. So a wader would be a must in most situations, as well as a shoe with good grip and a shoe that fits you properly. I think that's important.
What advice on the day of angling, as soon as you get to the water's edge, what would you prioritize as an angler on that day to be competitive?
Okay, the first thing I would say as priority is something that all guys should look at. I mean, we've still got a day before the trial, so the manner in which you pack your vehicle is very important. Pack your vehicle so that the items that you're using the least often is pushed right to the back, right? So that is items you wouldn't immediately have access to. one of the items that we pack right in the front of the vehicle or have access to first is our feed. So as soon as we get to the dam, I think the first thing we do is put on our fishing shoes, and secondly mix our feed. Feed takes 20 to 30 minutes to uh, you know to soak in water to bind, and yeah, it should be the first thing that one should do. In terms of competitiveness, and I think the second to third step would be get your fishing gear out and in order as quick as possible. So which means put on your reels as quick as possible. Make sure you thread lines through. Get your fishing stand into the water, landing net, keep net, everything that you need to be prepared for the day's angling. Whatever is not important, you can keep it back in your vehicle. If you take them out as soon as you're done setting up, put them back in.
Such another point which is obviously very, very important is your spare rods that you will be utilizing. Please give us a rundown of the meter, how it should be actually positioned, how many meters away from you it should be kept, things like that.
Okay, there isn't a general rule as to how many meters your spare rod should be, but I would say keep it at a reasonable distance that is easily accessible, number one. Number two is, remember, it should be facing, the point of the rod should be facing away from the water. Right? So I would say as a rule of thumb, keep it at 5 meters away from you, which is a reasonable distance. Make sure you have your lines threaded through all the eyes, and the stands, I think, should be equipped to handle the quantity of rods that you are carrying. That's very important.
Another important thing as well is having spare baited traces ready just in case that you have tempo fishing in the morning. Yes. I think that's essential as well. Having extra towels is essential for wiping off your hands so that you're also neat and tidy at all times as well. Then